Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today's video I'm going to be reviewing the unit from Moving Beyond the Page, Who Was Helen Keller. So we just finished up doing this unit. This is our last Moving Beyond the Page unit for this homeschool year. And so I wanted to share my thoughts, kind of what we used and how long it took us for this unit. I've done quite a few reviews on just Moving Beyond the Page itself and some of the unit studies that we've completed so far. So if you are interested, I will link some of those down below. We just use Moving Beyond the Page units randomly. We don't follow like their full year plans, and I use them across multiple ages. I pick them more on like what topics we want to learn about or like what books we want to read versus kind of something else. So this one, obviously it's about Helen Keller. I have always wanted to do a unit study with my kids on Helen Keller, and so this one just seemed perfect. The book that you read along with it is the Who Was Helen Keller book, which the Who Was, What Is, Where Is series is always awesome. My girls are at the age levels and reading levels. I have a second grader and fourth grader, about to be third and fifth graders. These books are perfect for them to read and comprehend with minimal like need of help or anything. So we're right at the point where this series is working awesome for us. So you do read this entire book through that. So every lesson you are reading through this. I will say that I think Moving Beyond the Page, I want to say Moving Beyond the Page, I feel like it is consistent with how many lessons. So this has 9 lessons. So there's 8 lessons and then a final project, which is technically a 9th lesson. I feel like though some of the other ones might have been 7 lessons. So it tells you what chapters to read, which I appreciate like more than anything, because that is just, I don't know how much we should read, like how much is too much. So I think the first few lessons you're reading 1 chapter, and I felt like the first few chapters were very short, and I'm like, okay guys, like you can read some more. But I get it because you're doing them along with some activities. But then one of the lessons we had to split into 2 days of reading because the reading, that chapter was like over 30 pages. So that's not really Moving Beyond the Page's fault. It's more this book. The chapter lengths aren't consistent in this book. So just keep that in mind, that some days you may have a super light reading day, other days it may be a little bit longer. So that is kind of my only oddity that I found with this book, is just the lengths of the chapters themselves were super inconsistent. Because Moving Beyond the Page is meant to be like, it can be a full like encompassing curriculum. Each of their units is like part of a concept, and so this one is their language arts. So normally you have like a language arts paired with either like a science or social studies. We did not get the unit that was paired up with this one, which is sound, which is a science unit, which makes sense. It talks about how sound works, and I think that would be a really great matchup with this, just understanding how sound works. But we chose to just do the straight language arts unit this time. It does go into things about like a biography and autobiography. Obviously it talks about language. Both American Sign Language and Braille are talked about in this. You learn about and what an invention is and inventors. You do a whole little unit on Alexander Graham Bell, which was really fun to incorporate like someone else they were learning about. I think one of the activities, your kids write like a bio poem. So it's learning about like if you were to have someone write a biography about you or an autobiography about yourself, really like thinking of traits of yourself, like what story is going to be told of you. You also have like kind of the whole unit, you work on a timeline. So they have like little papers you can cut out. My girls glued them on paper and then folded them up. So as you're reading through the book, you write down events in Helen's life. So just kind of learning like a timeline, how to track events and things that happen. So that was a fun like ongoing activity through the entire unit. In every Moving Beyond the Page unit, which is probably my like second or first favorite, is the discussion questions and answers. My second is like the reading schedule. That is why I use so many of these units, because it just works so well in our homeschool. But each lesson has discussion questions and answers for the chapter or chapters that they should be reading, which I absolutely love. Message in sign language and using your alphabet can decode it. What's really cool is my oldest daughter is learning American Sign Language. She's on her 2nd or 3rd year of sign language, so she knows the entire alphabet, and so it was really fun that she could just fill this out completely. There's vocabulary that your kids complete throughout. So every lesson, there are various activities that your kids can complete afterwards. So one of them was a hamburger paragraph organizer, which I just really like this method. How to get like a topic sentence, put some details in the middle, and then wrap it all up. So this was a cute way to break it down. There's a famous inventors and inventions. So you learn about Alexander Graham Bell and his inventions, but then it also says go learn about Thomas Edison and Alexander Fleming. So really tying some inventions into this, some science into this, some history. Then it goes into the Braille alphabet, something that I wish I would have done and I didn't even think about it. I wish I would have gotten like a book in Braille just to have as an example, because I felt like that would have just made a little bit more sense. Obviously that can't happen in these units, but that would be my recommendation to you, is at least get a book in Braille like from your library, or purchase one. I did forget, so in the very beginning of this unit, your very first activity, it tells you to put earmuffs and blindfolds on your kids, and then kind of let them do their normal things, which obviously they can't. If they cannot see or hear, they're going to learn very quickly how limited they may become, and why having, you know, abilities for people, making things more accessible for others, is so important. And so I did forget, that was like the very first thing you do in this unit, and that was amazing, and it was a really fun experience. And then obviously if you had a book or something in Braille, or you know, just when you're out and about, a lot of signs on like businesses or doors, you know, we may not even notice it, but there are Braille letters on there that you can have your kids look at and feel. So just a little example. It does have your child create a timeline of themselves. It has kind of some geography in here about like Helen's life and different places she may have lived or visited. And so this was really fun, matching up the different events to the different places. Then your kids get to write a bio poem. And so it kind of helps them like pick things like feel, what do you love, your fears. So that was a really cute little thing to make. I had my kids do it about themselves, and then I kind of was like, oh, I should have had them do it about each other. I think that would have been a fun exercise too. It talks about voice. So like if someone is writing kind of like an autobiography or like their story or their journal, so hearing like their voice and their quote. And then the end of year, at the end of unit project, we did not do, but it is create a scrapbook or an interview. So you would either create a biography scrapbook of Helen Keller's life. The scrapbook would highlight important events, pictures of people, small mementos. So that's a really cute project. Or do an interview. So your child will design an interview where he or she will play the part of Helen Keller. They can dress up, and then parent or sibling can do the interview with them. So I do really like these end of unit projects. Unfortunately, they just don't always work within like our time frame. They end up getting pushed too far to the end, and that's unfortunately sometimes what happens. But I do think it's a super cute idea if you wanted to go that extra step. And that is pretty much everything. This unit took us 3.5 weeks, I think, to get through. And so we 3 times a week for 3 weeks. Yeah, so like around 9 lessons. We do a lesson per day. So I really did like this one. We ended it up watching, like once we ended it, we watched The Miracle Worker. There's a couple versions. We watched the newest one that was made in 2000, I think. The whole movie's on YouTube. I don't know how legal that is, but it's on YouTube, but it's in pretty good quality. I cast it to our TV, and it's the entire movie. So we watched it. Even my 4-year-old sat there and watched it, and he was very interested. He kept asking, like, why is she walking like that? Like, what's wrong with her? And so it even gave me the opportunity to kind of explain to him what that can mean and some of that. So great movie, really great way to kind of wrap up the whole unit. So I do really like this one as a study if you're looking for something on Helen Keller. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Like I said, I have other reviews of other units we've done by Moving Beyond the Page, and if you're just interested in learning more about Moving Beyond the Page, I have that linked down below as well. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll chat soon. Bye, guys.